Should you have a lighting assistant at every shoot that you do? I would say generally speaking, I'm gonna lean towards yes, and I'm gonna give you guys a few reasons why I believe having a lighting assistant is just that crucial. So having a second photographer, that can be more negotiable, I guess. If it's a smaller group, if it's 15, 20 people, it's a small ceremony, that I think should be able to be covered by one photographer. You don't need a second photographer for something like that. However, when we do engagement sessions, when we do maternity sessions, when we do obviously full day weddings, a lighting assistant is such a crucial part of our workflow that it does make it pretty difficult when we don't have one. I'm gonna go into 6 reasons why I would recommend having a lighting assistant for you. The first one is if you have a very well-versed lighting assistant who is an expert and understands where lighting should be, it's gonna make your life a lot easier. So for example, sometimes we're shooting and even before I even mention it to my assistant, they know that if the bride is pointing this direction, the light is gonna be coming from this way. If she's pointing this direction, the lighting is gonna be coming from this way. So sometimes as I'm directing them and then I'll go, oh, you know what, Becky, switch over to the other side. As soon as I say that, a good lighting assistant knows that they need to go over to the other side to make sure that the lighting is coming from the correct side. Having a lighting assistant who is well versed and has a good handle of lighting is gonna make your life so much easier, because instead of you having to walk around and switch it to the other side and do all this, they already know what they're doing, and it lets you shoot a little bit quicker. It allows you to move things a little bit faster. And sometimes, you know, when you're shooting at sunset, there's only so much light that you have, and that sun may be peaking right underneath the horizon. So having that assistant that understands moving the light when necessary is just priceless. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the second part, or the second note that I made, which is efficiency. Efficiency is extremely important in any job, but especially in a job like us as photographers, as videographers, where we understand that we only have a certain amount of light before that sun goes away, before that lighting changes. Because even if you're not shooting with the sun as your main source or sun as the crucial part of it, you guys understand even at blue hour, you only have a certain window where you're gonna get that very cool look, and then after that it goes away and now it's nighttime. So efficiency is the name of the game. If you have a lighting assistant, they understand. We always let them know that you are a very crucial part of our workflow, and if you're well versed with lighting where it should go and you're very efficient, you're gonna make everybody's life a heck of a lot easier, and the couple client is gonna get much better photos because of you. We always let them know how important they are, because I think that from a human level, you wanna feel like you're part of a team. You want to feel like you're contributing, and by letting them know that from the very beginning, it lets them know that they are part of this and they are important to our overall workflow. And another note that I wrote is consistency, because this is a great example. When we do a walking shot and we have a lighting assistant and we want to expose for that background, but we also want to have light in the front on our couples, it's very difficult to do it with the couple walking towards you and leaving the flash in the same spot, because as they get closer to the flash becomes more powerful. And yes, you can turn down the flash as you're shooting. You can increase your f-stop as you're shooting, so that way it kills a little bit of light. With the first one, it is a little bit difficult to be doing this while you're shooting. And with the second option of raising your f-stop, that will affect your background. So if they're getting closer, you're raising your f-stop so you don't blow them out, your background is gonna get darker and darker. So by having a lighting assistant that perhaps will be walking with them, it's gonna keep that consistency in your lighting. It's gonna make things more efficient. So that consistency doesn't work without having someone that can actually move with them. So that's a very important, we use that technique all the time to keep that distance the same between the flash and our subject. And another one doesn't really have to do as much with lighting, but more problem solve. So a lot of the times we'll be shooting a wedding and we'll say, for example, Victoria, do you have your flowers with you? Oh no, I left them in the bridal suite. Well, Joseph, off you go. And you know that you need to go over there, get the flowers, dry them at the bottom so that way it doesn't get the dress wet or his suit wet or anything like that. Come back to us and, you know, do it in a very fast manner. I don't with us, I always tell our assistants, I don't want to see walking. If you can, if you're able, don't fall, but run. We are moving very, very quickly, because even if we're not behind, I still want our couple to enjoy cocktail hours. So even today, we got an email from a couple saying that that was very important for them, that they get to see cocktail hour and get to enjoy those moments. So all these little things that we do in the beginning of the day to make things more efficient, they all add up to the big picture of our couple actually enjoying their day. So having an assistant who problem solves, who moves moves quickly. It's extremely important. I think that there are many times where I come home and I'm not nearly as exhausted as I would be, 100% nearly as exhausted as I would be if I didn't have an assistant. And they understand that. They understand that as a lead, I'm gonna lean on you a little bit, especially by the end of the day, because my brain is tired. I want you to help me. I want you to make my life a little bit easier, and you're gonna understand that when you're lead shooting later on and you have an assistant. You know, for you photographers out there, don't feel bad telling your assistants, I need your help with this, I need your help with that. That is what you're paying them for, and they're gonna be happy to do it, because if you're a good person, you feel good when you help somebody else. So every single time I know when I ask my assistants, can you please do this and can you please do that? And always say please, guys. Don't be dickheads if you're a photographer also. Like, everything comes with a please and everything comes with a thank you, because it's a team effort. And it doesn't mean I'm bossing you around. It means that you're helping me a lot, and I'm gonna say thank you whenever you do something. And then number 5 would be safety. Safety is very, very important, because if you have a light stand somewhere and there's kids running around, it's inevitable. It's bound to happen. They're gonna knock something over. I'm sure you guys can leave a comment below. I'm sure everybody has had a situation where somebody knocks something over. By having an assistant, you can have them stand next to the stand, or just hold on to it, or if it's on a monopod, hold on to it, so nobody's gonna trip, break any equipment, God forbid, break a bone or hurt themselves. And safety is definitely another reason why we have a lighting assistant. Not only that, guys, safety as far as the safety of your equipment. We've had a couple of photographers have their equipment stolen during a job, and that's why with my assistants, we don't generally take all the equipment with us and leave it somewhere, because even if a venue tells us, oh yeah, you can leave it in this room over here, I'm like, because if shit hits a fan, you're not gonna do anything about it. So I'm gonna take personal responsibility and make sure that we take just what we need and everything else is stored in a safe place, in a trunk, not in an SUV. I wouldn't do that because that's too easy to smash and grab. But if you have a sedan, you can put it in your trunk, and you know, more than likely it will be safe in there. That's what we do with our backup equipment. Don't be stealing our equipment, whoever's watching this. So it's always in the trunk, and then we just take what we need. Having that lighting assistant is gonna help, so that way you don't have to lug around everything, and also you don't have to leave things behind, because they can carry the lighting bag, you can carry the shoulder bag with your camera, and that's essentially all you need. So safety, very important. Also, if we get into a scuffle, I expect every single one of my assistants to throw hands too, so just so you guys know. And then another reason would be creative input. I mean, you guys are not just there to hold a light. You're not just there to run errands. You are there to learn. You're there to be creative. You're there to put some creative input. So if there's a photo that you saw, show it to me. Show it to your lead photographer. Show it to your second photographer, and be like, hey dude, why don't we try this? That excites me. When I see a lighting assistant who is excited about trying things and is excited about techniques that they want to try, I'm all for it. I mean, even last weekend, Joseph is the most overqualified assistant on earth. He was assisting for me because I think we had somebody fall out and he needed to step in. I think that's what ended up happening. And he was walking around with his film camera and shooting film, because he knew, like, he knows he can assist with one hand tied behind his back. So he's assisting and he's being creative with his film camera. He's throwing ideas at me. That's what it should be, a very cohesive team. Now, as a lighting assistant, there's a little bit of etiquette. One thing you don't want to do is go up to the couple and go, we should try this. Don't do that. Don't be overzealous. Talk to the photographer and say, hey, you know what, there's a pretty cool shot over there. The lighting's coming through really nice. Check it out. Even when we were shooting a wedding over the weekend, Joseph just kind of bumped me a little bit and went, check that out. And it was just an interesting moment where the groom was putting the shoe on the bride, and then there were like 2 kids and a pregnant woman there, and they were all just kind of, everybody's just kind of like slumped back, and it was an interesting photo, and I'm like, I got a couple of those. I'm like, thanks, dude. That's what an assistant is there for. Like, pay attention to things like that. That was the last thing that I'm going to say about assistants for this, why they're so crucial. There's really, I can make this list 15 long, if I'm honest, a list of 15 things long, but I don't want to bore you guys to death. We're gonna stop here. And let me ask you guys, do you use an assistant on your shoots? If not, why not? I understand there is a little bit of cost, but I'll be honest, I've been using an assistant pretty much ever since I branched off on my own, even before I branched off on my own. There was a studio that used to have me, that I used to shoot for years ago, and they would not provide an assistant. I would literally take money out of my own pay and pay Dominic. You remember that, Dominic? And I would pay him because I knew when I'm shooting 3 weddings in a row, on that second and third wedding, I'm gonna be glad that I have an assistant. I'd rather pay them a little bit of money, save a little bit of my sanity, and save my back in the future. So yeah, if you guys are not currently using an assistant, I would highly recommend it. Get somebody, and here's another tip, last one. Get someone who is a blank canvas. I would rather have an assistant that I'm gonna teach everything to than have an assistant who comes in and thinks that they know everything, and now we gotta undo all these bad habits. Not to say that we know how to do everything perfect, but I know for a fact that through trial and error, over the last 17 years, there's a lot of things that I've learned that I know this works better than that. So I'm always open to learning. If somebody shows me something that is better, of course, I'll take that. Generally speaking, we have very good methods. And the reason I know that is because a lot of our photographers, when they shoot for other photographers, they tell me the same thing. They're like, the way that we have things organized is so much better. And I'm like, yeah, like, listen, I wasn't pulling out of my ass. I want you guys to have an easy day. So anyway, now I'm rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end, if you would like to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. We're gonna be posting a lot more informational type video, informative type videos. So yeah, anything that you guys wanna watch, leave a comment. I always reply. So let me know what you guys would like to watch. And again, if you'd like to subscribe, really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a great week. Bye now.